What struck me this morning from everything is just, I realized I would rather be here right now than anywhere else. I would rather be here even than on a beach in Hawaii, you know? I mean, yeah, I would rather be here right now with all of us because my heart is so full, you know? It's because of the contributions, you know, what people bring. Hey, so remember, energy follows attention. So let's all bring our attention right now to our emerging future self and our emerging future community, the highest potential of our community. We get clear vision from knowing ourselves, from clearing our blocks, as well as clearly being able to see our Christ self. Okay? We get clear vision by those two ways. We clear away the garbage, and we clearly see and maybe even feel the Christ within us, right? We are it. The people need a clear vision, and in the Old Testament, the prophets were dramatic. The prophets came to the people even before the canary in the coal mine, because once the canary is fainting in the coal mine, things are bad, get out of there now. But the prophets came ahead of time. They came before anybody thought anything was going on, so the prophets always sounded a little crazy. And they came all dramatic and loudly. They would say, if you do not change this, disaster is going to happen. And that was their one purpose. Wake up! Like, people, wake up! If you don't stop your terrible ways, all of the ice will melt. No one will ever get a cold drink again. Or whatever. But the other thing that prophets come to do is to say, this is the good vision I have prepared for you. This is the promised land, right? This is the awesomeness, the wonderfulness. Now, here's a quote from Ezekiel. He brought me in visions of God to the land of Israel and set me down upon a very high mountain. That's the quote I wanted to focus on. And when I start focusing on quotes from the Old Testament, I have to go back and read some of my Bible study notes, because I don't always remember all that stuff. And every time I do, I get excited again, because I remember why I liked studying the Bible from the fabulous teacher I had at Unity Ministerial School, Reverend E.J. Niles, because she brought actual historical accuracy to my study of the Bible, which was wonderful for me, and as well as beautiful insight and a way to interpret it, so it was helpful. But I've always wanted to know about the past, what really happened. And I wanted to understand, what are all these crazy stories for? Now, one of the things, I'm going to read you a little more from Ezekiel, but I want to say that this part of the Bible, Ezekiel, was most likely written in the 6th century BCE, okay? That's BCE, before current era. And that writer was concerned with writing the history of their people. That was the whole thing. There were probably 35 to 40 people that wrote the Old Testament, with 4 identifiable writers who wrote the first 5 books. But the point of it was that the most interesting thing was these people were writing their history. It was a small band of people, really. They had a written history, which is why we know about them today. And at this time, the person who was writing about the prophet Ezekiel, a lot of the motivation was maintaining the identity of these people during times of captivity and about being overwhelmed by other powerful cultures. And in terms of spiral dynamics, there was a whole move from the red consciousness, which is might makes right. And certainly when you think about 600 or 6th century BCE, 6,000 BCE, or 600, it is not 6,000, it is 6,600. 6 BCE, that would be about the changing from where just plain old brawn was king until order. The consciousness that was emerging then was the consciousness of order. So that was, and the other thing about emerging consciousness, whenever you see an emerging consciousness, if you are in your old consciousness, what emerges looks fearful to you. So whatever is going to emerge out of the new consciousness, that's going to look fearful. So the people who were in, might makes right, who understood their universe, even when they saw a new consciousness emerging of order, that brought up fear. That looked fearful to them. Now, Ezekiel was one of the younger men taken to Babylon in the 1st century, in the first captivity, which occurred in 597 BC. He served as a kind of a religious counselor to the Hebrew exiles who were allowed to live in a colony by themselves near the banks of the Kibar River. He's a priest from the tribe of Levi, but the Lord chooses him to do much more than make sacrifices. God sets up Ezekiel as the watch person for the Jews, because as bad as it is now, they're about to get themselves into a lot more trouble. Ezekiel makes a lot of sacrifices in his ministry. He eats cakes cooked over poo. Sorry, that's in the Bible. He lies on his side for 430 days. I don't remember why. His wife dies, but he doesn't get a chance to mourn. He doesn't have it easy. But his prophecies are phenomenal. He sees the Lord enthroned above. He sees the temple of God destroyed and rebuilt. He sees dry bones growing ligaments and flesh. He's the watchman, and he watches some crazy things. He's got 40 chapters. In chapters 1 to 24, concern for the fall of Jerusalem, which did happen. Chapters 25 to 39 contain a series of oracles addressed to foreign nations, kind of like, you Philistines or whatever, you people, this is your warning. Concluding with a section in which the future of Israel is contrasted with the foreign nations. The purpose of that is like, well, here's how these people who aren't chosen people are, and here's how the chosen people are. The third section presents a plan for rebuilding the temple and reorganizing the restored state of Israel. So let me read that, the thing that I quoted from the first part of chapter 40. And this is the part where it's rebuilding Israel. In the 25th year of our exile, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after the city was struck down, on that very day the hand of the Lord was upon me, and he brought me there. He brought me in visions of God to the land of Israel and set me down upon a very high mountain on which was a structure like a city to the south. When he brought me there, a man was there who shone like bronze with a linen cord and a measuring reed in his hand, and he was standing in the gateway. That man said to me, "Mortal, look closely and listen attentively and set your mind upon all that I shall show you. For you were brought here in order that I might show it to you. Declare all that you see to the house of Israel." And then there's a very long description of the temple itself, the new temple. So metaphysically, it's a great setup for what we're going to build, right? If we're everything in the Bible, Ezekiel is the part of our mind that's saying, hey, wake up. We are chosen, kind of like what Linda was talking about. We're all chosen. And we're loved, as the way Sylvia was singing. We're loved. We are precious. And we have a future to build. I don't care how old we are. I don't care what the last year was. We have a tremendous future to build. Now, there's a lot of prophets around today. You don't actually have to go to the Old Testament to find some prophets. There's lots of prophets on the internet, right? And many of them seem very crazy. So it's really important to use our wisdom, one of those 12 powers that we have in our Christ expression, to use our wisdom and our discernment. But it's also kind of fun to listen to the prophets that come out of nowhere and blindside us a little bit, right? Now, I saw this. I want to talk about a prophet who is amazing to me. Just an art student. She's actually not a student anymore. An artist named Melissa Spitz. She's a working artist from St. Louis, Missouri. She just recently, or a couple years ago, got her BFA from the University of Missouri, Columbia, and her MFA from the Savannah College of Arts and Design, and she resides in New York. And if you, I will post her art onto our Facebook page, Unity of Des Moines Facebook page, so you can get a glimpse of her art. But I had seen this. It just blew me away. Her project is called You Have Nothing to Worry About. It's basically pictures of her mother, who's mentally ill. It's a very personal project, and maybe some of you have seen it on. It's gotten passed around on my Facebook pages from friend to friend, so I've seen it a lot of times. It's an amazing. There's an amazing picture of a big photograph, like bigger than that screen, of her mother in the gallery. And then there's a photo of her actual mother going like this and looking at it, because it's not like it's a trick. Her mother is aware of all of it, but her mother's standing like this looking at the picture. And the picture is this heart-rendering photo. All of the photos, heart-rendering photos of what's it like to be emotionally, mentally ill, and what's it like to be a kid with somebody who's not there for you. And I guess the vibrancy, the rawness, the truth of it just smacked me, just smacked me, because I realized how important it is for us to express our pain and our truth in a way that builds a new tomorrow, that creates, how could it be that these raw, seemingly painful pictures that show so clearly the relationship of the mom and the daughter, how can that be about a new tomorrow? Because it stops us in a moment of truth, And maybe that's what the prophets are for. They're supposed to stop us in the moment of truth. The prophets aren't really about the vision of Silver Cathedral off in the distance, or even the promised land that's so far away. The prophets are here to wake us up to what capability we have in us right now to be loving and kind to each other, so that when we come in this room, we smile and we're happy and we feel ourselves with that capability to love and to go on. I mean, if somebody took a picture, somebody took photographs of me through my life, there'd probably be just as many points of pain, right? And for you too. If somebody took photos of us in our relationships, we could find some beautiful and searing moments, where of waking up when we're actually in the present of pain and love. And that's good. That's good, That's good. I want to read this scripture one more time. because it inspired me a little bit. This is Ezekiel 40, verse 2. He brought me in visions of God to the land of Israel and set me down upon a very high mountain. Here's my personal interpretation. He brought me. Wake up now. Okay? Wake up now to visions of God. Use your sacred inner eye. Okay? Use your sacred inner eye. It's there. To the land of Israel. Set me down upon a very high mountain. Wake up now. Use your sacred inner eye to live in beauty here. On a very high mountain, with just that little bit of stepping away from yourself that gets you in the present moment. So you're not all caught up in the story, and you can actually be present. You know, there's something about the story that actually takes us out of the moment. You know, when I start focusing on the story, it actually takes us out of the moment. But if we're wake up now, using our sacred inner eye to live in the beauty here with just that perspective of the mountain. Because when we're on the mountain, we see ourselves and everybody else. It's all in the journey. It's all about the journey. So please join us in creating a vision in 2017. Clear vision. It's a year where we need clear vision everywhere. We're going to create, I want to make Unity of Des Moines a place with you so that it's a hotbed of spiritual expression. A hotbed of heart-wrenching and heart-opening and gobsmacking expression of our journey. You know, not my journey. Our journey. Everybody's journey. You know, whether you give an inspirational interval, whether you contribute a painting to one, you know, our next art show, whether you come and sing as loud as you can while we're singing a song, whether you join any of the teams. We're a church. We got 1 million teams you can join. Whatever it is, or something new. Maybe you get an inspiration to do some new thing, like, and you're all excited. Come and talk to us about it. Me, anybody. Whatever it is, join me in that. Okay. Just one more thing. We're going to make Unity of Des Moines a hotbed of spiritual expression. Let's take an offering for unity. I invite you to take your tithe and your love offering and your, if you're like me, you like to use